Jeff Carlson on Take Control of iPhone Photography, 2nd edition, Part 3. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by MacPaw, the makers of Clean My Mac, your ultimate solution for Mac control and care. Try Clean My Mac for 7 days free, then use the code MacVoices20 for 20% off at cleanmy.com/MacVoices. That's clnmy.com/MacVoices. You mentioned you now have a chapter on third-party accessories, which in some ways purists are going to say, what do you mean third-party accessories? I bought the iPhone so I didn't have to carry around lenses and lens caps and all this stuff. And yet I've run into some iPhone accessories that absolutely are super useful. And I'm curious to see, how you evaluate those, what your thought processes are, and are they for anyone or everyone?
Yeah. I'm still very mixed on this because, well, for a couple of reasons. One of the great things about the iPhone is that you can pull it out and you can get a great shot. Not having to mess with, I've tried lots of different hand grips and things like that. It's all just, like you said, extra stuff that you have to deal with. Now, there are times when that can be okay. Again, going back to our idea of being deliberate, you are specifically out to take iPhone photos, not just have your iPhone as the regular device that it is that would take occasional photos. But you want to go and you want to have basically you want to hold it like a phone. Sorry, you want to hold it like a camera and maybe have like a shutter button on top. So there are things that you can add that will do that. There's one that I have in the book, and I've just forgotten the Polar Pro. So Polar Pro, they make lens filters and things. And so they sent me some things to try out. And basically it's a little hand grip and it clamps onto a case that you put on your phone. And then it also has a little Bluetooth shutter thing that you can tie in. So you can actually take pictures like you would with a regular camera. And that can be good when you want to be, again, more deliberate about it. There's also an absurdly expensive, because it's a Leica, but super cool hand grip that just connects using the MagSafe. Excuse me, the MagSafe magnet. So you don't have to have a separate case. You can just slap it on there. But it does communicate via Bluetooth. Things just kind of start getting more and more complicated. I do not like having a case on my phone. I know that I'm kind of the minority here, but I just generally don't like it. And so whenever I want to use some of these, generally I have to put a case on it that works with those accessories. Now, some of the things that I talk about that can be useful, again, going back to the Polar Pro that they sent me, there's also one by, I want to say FreeCell that I tried out. You can add ND filters. So, or a CPL, I'm having acronym fail, circular polarizer. Okay. So if you are shooting video especially, you can't just change your shutter speed to make something to affect the exposure. So let me back up. For people who aren't familiar with video, when you're taking a photo, if you have a traditional camera, you can say everything's too bright, so I'm going to make a faster shutter speed so it lets in less light and therefore it'll be well exposed. With video, you can't really do that because you're shooting at a constant rate, like 25 frames per second or 30 frames per second. So one of the ways to control your exposure is to put on an ND filter. and or a circular polarizer. And so they make these that just fit right over the three little cameras on the back. And so that can cut down the amount of light. What's interesting is when you're taking photos, the phone by default is going to try to maximize the exposure. So you have to like set your exposure. You have to lock your exposure and then adjust the NDL from there. So like it gets a little bit more complicated. You can tell like already there's more complication going on. But if you have a situation like, for example, again, let's go back to the Grand Canyon. Like maybe that would be a really good opportunity to have a circular polarizer or an ND filter that will cut down the light a little bit, give you a more managed exposure, especially if you're shooting maybe with an app that has manual controls. So it's all about like having lots of control. This kind of thing really comes into play more with video. And then there are also things like you can get cages. Well, for example, you've probably seen when Apple makes a video nowadays, I think they're doing them all on iPhones now. And you see the iPhone and it's like in this structured cage, and you've got, hard drive attached to it and a little larger monitor attached. There's usually like a big lens that's attached in front of it with a polarizer, like all this kind of stuff. Like you can trick this out in amazing ways. So you have that as a possibility, but they're doing that because they need, different optics. They need more control over the light, things like that. That's a very long way of saying that these are worth investigating. And if you have a specific need, there are some really good products out there. For most everybody, I think it's overkill. And I still run up against my own personal barrier of, if I wanted to go to this much trouble, I would bring my traditional camera. And so I find it hard to be like, okay, I need to stop. I need to put my case on. I need to grab this filter, and I need to get the filter out of its bag and slide it onto the case in front of the cameras, and like all this stuff that's taking me out of the moment. So I don't know. I'm mixed. I love that there's a market for this, and I love that there are some people who really find value in it. And I just bounce back and forth.
Okay, that's fair. I'm really familiar with the cages because of the work I do at CES and NAB, and
oh yeah,
they're a godsend. Because you've got everything becomes a nice compact unit around your iPhone. Mm-hmm. And what was the other thing? Oh, and some of the grips, that is a matter of personal preference. But I've had some really good luck with those too.
Good.
But look, that's me. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I've not even thought about the polarizers.
That's right. Sorry.
The polarizers are an interesting thing that I have not explored. So, but I also don't mind. It's funny. I don't mind being intentional in those ways, or deliberate was our word, I think. Because I'm going to do more than just shoot one or two photos or videos when I'm putting those things on. So there's a reason I put them on. And maybe I need to take that same approach to actual photography as opposed to just the hardware. So maybe that's my takeaway from this.
Yeah, I mean it's worth trying, especially. I mean, what's nice about a cage is that you end up with better ergonomics. So if you are shooting video, especially, you're not sort of like doing the phone claw trying to hold on to it. You can actually have like a couple of grips or one grip that, help you, have better position. You can get your elbows in, have a little bit more stability, those kind of things. So, I think it's still a niche product category for most people, and I think there are a lot of people who look at like there's a company called Moment. Moment, they make lenses that you can get like really wide angle lenses, like fisheye lenses or telephoto lenses that have really good glass. And I think like if you need those are great. I have a feeling there's probably a lot of people who buy it and they try it out and then realize it's kind of too much hassle, and then it sits in a drawer. But if you have the opportunity to try it out, you think that this is something that you're going to be inclined to do, then absolutely give it a try.
MacVoices is brought to you by MacPaw and Clean My Mac. You rely on your Mac every day because you can, because it just works. It's stable, dependable, and ready when you are. Whether you're creating content, managing projects, or getting through a packed workday, your Mac has earned your trust. But here's the thing, you can make that reliability even better. Clean My Mac helps keep your system running at its best by cleaning out unnecessary files, optimizing performance, and staying ahead of potential slowdowns. With Space Lens, you can quickly see what's taking up valuable storage and remove the clutter. And with My Activity, you get a clear view of what Clean My Mac has been doing in the background to keep everything tuned up. It's all designed to support what you already love about your Mac, making sure it stays fast, efficient, and ready for whatever you throw at it. And since Clean My Mac is Apple notarized, you know it's safe to use on the system you depend on. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use the code MacVoices20 in all caps for 20% off at cleanmy.com/MacVoices, also in all caps. Again, for 20% off at cleanmy, CLNMY.com/MacVoices, also in all caps. Because when your Mac is this important, making it even more reliable just makes sense. Thanks to Clean My Mac for supporting MacVoices. Jeff, we've been around a lot of things here surrounding the book. What have we missed? What else should folks know about what's in the book or the changes that have made that you guide them through?
Let me just look at my PDF here. There are like a little things. Let's see. Like if you have an iPhone 17 Pro, and I think 17 Air, the whole selfie camera is all new. It's like it has a square sensor and it has center stage, which means that somebody, if you and I were together here and I was taking a picture of myself and you stepped into the frame, it would expand to make sure both of us were included. And there are controls to turn that on and turn that off and zoom in and zoom out. So that's all new information. It's a very cool kind of feature that nobody else is really doing, which is kind of nice. And also, you can use your AirPods to trigger the shutter, which is kind of cool. If you don't have like an Apple Watch and you take your phone and you set it up against a wall or a shelf or on a tripod or something, you want to take a picture of you with some other people, if you don't mind having iPods, and it kind of depends on whether they're visible or not, you can use that as the way to trigger the shutter rather than like, let's say you don't have an Apple Watch. There's a camera app on the Apple Watch. That's kind of typically how I do it. But, you don't have to like start the timer and run back and, get all set up. You can just take pictures just by pressing the AirPods. And also you can set, this is actually very cool. You can set your AirPods as a microphone source. So, excuse me. So for example, you are recording a video of yourself, but the phone, of course, is, 10 feet away on a tripod or mounted somewhere, because you don't necessarily just want like, here's just my face. The problem with that is the phone is 10 feet away. The microphones are 10 feet away. And even though the microphones are very good, you're still going to get like all the noise in between you. Well, if you have AirPods, you can basically say, I want the AirPods to be the microphone for the video. And so you get much better audio quality without having to, buy a lapel mic, like maybe a one of these DJI microphones where you have a little base station attached to the phone. Then there's one attached to you, or running a cord for a lavalier mic. Like, if you already have a set of AirPods, you can get much, much better audio of you if you're talking to somebody or want to see like what's going on around you. Super cool. Doesn't require an extra investment if you already have the AirPods. And like the audio quality is just better. It's kind of cool. I think that is about it. I mean, there are a couple of new tips and things. If you're taking a panorama and you get to the end of the panorama and you want to start over, you don't have to like stop and then move back and start again. You can just whip it back to the beginning and it'll just start a brand new one automatically. Apparently this has been there for a long time, and I had no idea until somebody wrote to me and they were like, well, you know about this, right? And I was like, I have never seen this before in my life. That's awesome. So things like that.
That's a new one to me. I've never seen that written up anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to go take some panoramas and whip it around and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Jeff, we're at that point where we say, how much is the book? And we know takecontrolbooks.com is where you go to get it, but how much is this book and the upgrade situation?
It's $14.99, and I don't exactly know the upgrade situation. It depends on when you bought the previous edition. If you bought it recently, I think it's a free update. I want to say 90 days, but don't hold me to it. Joe Kissel will be like, no, don't say that. That's not right. But I think that's right. Otherwise, I think that there's upgrade pricing for like maybe $5, depending on when you bought it. If you bought the previous edition. Otherwise, it's $14.99. It is, like I said, I think 163 pages. So like you're getting a lot for that amount of money. And you can download it as an ebook or a PDF and just literally have it on your phone as you're out walking and taking pictures. You could be like, oh, I remember Jeff said something about this feature. Gosh, I wish I could remember. And I don't have internet access, so I can't bring up this great video that I watched on MacVoices. Oh, wait, I've got the PDF right on my phone. Here it is.
Jeff, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for the time.
Absolutely.
If I didn't take anything else away, and I took a bunch of stuff away here, but that panorama tip is really interesting. And so that's just one thing out of this book that I will learn. So thank you for everything.
Excellent. Thank you. And, thank you for letting me blather on in too much detail as usual.
No. Listen, I think some of that's important because if we're just here doing a book promo, then, it can be very concise, but there's so many ways of thinking about this activity that we all do with our iPhone. And I find it interesting to get into your head because you write books about it, but you're also a professional photographer as well. So these interviews sort of do double duty. But before I let you go, excellent, I want to make sure you let everyone else know where they can find everything else that you do, because you do a lot of other things.
I do a lot of other things. So right now, most of my time is being spent. I am a senior writer at CNET. That's my day job now. So, and writing just lots of stuff about mobile topics, phones, telecommunications plans. We just did a big roundup of the Apple 50th anniversary, where I was asked to write, sort of the best, most important products in Apple's 50-year history through the lens of CNET reviews and CNET articles. Because CNET's been around since, I want to say, 1992. So there's just a rich vein of material there. So that was a lot of fun to write. So go to CNET. That's where CNET.com. That's where you'll find me. Otherwise, jeffcarlson.com. And I am also on Threads and Instagram and Blue Sky and pretty much all of those as at Jeff Carlson.
Great. Jeff, thank you so much. We will see you for the next Take Control book, if not before, because again, there are a lot of other projects that we end up talking about. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. Go check out TakeControlBooks.com for Jeff's book, for all the other great Take Control authors, and the other great Take Control books, because they're still one of my favorite ways to learn, get up to speed, and stay up to speed on products and services that we all know and love. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.